All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Creating in Canvas. My name is Matt Smoot. I am a technology integration specialist with the district. I'm here with my colleague, Rick Coughlin. Rick, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Rick Coughlin, Tech Integration Specialist, and I'm happy to see everybody and look forward to answering your questions and, really helping get you up and running with Canvas a bit better. I also posted a link in the chat to the Digital Teaching Hub and specifically the Canvas support page. There's lots of great resources there, videos, as well as a login link. But you can also log in through your Waffle when you or Apps Launcher to get into Canvas as well.
So as you can see below, if you go to links.tccsk12.com/creating in Canvas, this will give you access to this presentation. On this presentation are resources, links. We put our entire guide on here. Again, access to the Digital Teacher Hub. So I'd highly recommend you open that, and you don't have to follow along with the actual presentation. I'm going to be mostly in Canvas at this point, just to kind of show you around, and we're going to do a lot of demoing today, and we'll get into the agenda here. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to be doing kind of an overview of the Canvas course settings, how Canvas can be used as a communication tool through announcements, through the inbox, adding people also being groups. We're going to talk about our Canvas support and what we get from Canvas. We're going to do a lot of content creation, really utilizing the rich content editor to create pages and assignments and discussions. We're going to talk about sharing and accessibility, how everything can be shared and accessible by all of our students. We're going to get into the Canvas Studio, which is our video platform that's part of Canvas, and then modules. We'll talk about a lot about modules. Throughout the session, we will be providing work time as well as breakout rooms, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Before I get started, it's been identified as we've been doing this training that we were using the chat for a lot of our questions. It got to be that that was becoming pretty unmanageable. A lot of questions are occurring, and that's completely fine. That's what we're here for. But it was hard to keep track in the chat. So I'm actually going to be creating a doc, and then I'll be posting the doc into the chat. Some of you I've seen multiple times in these trainings, so they've seen this little tech tool. I'm looking at you, Gail. But I'm just going to go ahead and show this cool little tech tip that's been pretty beneficial for some. So if I just open a new tab, it's kind of a first world problem, but when I go to Google Docs, I just want to do a blank doc, and I have to go to docs.google.com, click on the blank, that all that extra steps. But I just found out that if you type in docs.new, it just creates a new doc and a blank doc automatically. I know, your mind is completely blown. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to name this Creating in Canvas 828, and I'm going to say morning because we are also offering this afternoon. So if you want to, you could be with us all day. Gail, I see you this afternoon.
I think she's had enough.
Yeah, I think she's might have had enough.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, absolutely. So I'm just going to copy this link and I'm going to post this into the chat. There you go.
And I will be moderating those questions as Matt does the bulk of the presenting, and so I will do my very best to keep up with those questions. On occasion, I do have to do some research because Matt and I are about 4 weeks ahead of you in our knowledge base, and so we are also still learning. So please just be patient if we can't get to the question right away. Thank you.
All right, so Rick had mentioned the Digital Teacher Hub a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to take us out of here, and then go into our digital teaching hub. We introduced our digital teaching hub in the springtime to really give a lot of resources and support to our staff. The spring was something else, and it kind of hit us like a ton of bricks. And we got a lot of good feedback about it. We had a page that was dedicated to Clever and Seesaw and Google Classroom, and now with our district implementation of Canvas, we obviously wanted to still continue that and have that available. So if you go to the top, you'll see there's the introduction to Canvas. If you haven't been to that already, I would highly recommend that. If you click on this link, this gets you to the presentation. Again, when this is done and after this is rendered, hopefully by this weekend, I will be able to post this session up onto the Canvas page as well. Rick had mentioned the login. We understand that many of our users are Google Classroom users, and Google Classroom has been a very reliable system for the past couple of years. But the times they are changing, and Canvas has a lot of comparisons to Google Classroom and more. So this has nice little resources to kind of show you the comparison between the two. We also geared our site with thinking about our users in mind, right? So if you're just starting out with Canvas, you're coming in, you have no idea what it is, right? Well, we're just going to take you step by step on some things that you can do at the very beginning. You know, setting up a user account, creating Magic Pages, things that are pretty low impact. If you're past that, you say, I'm ready for more. We have some I'm ready for you for more resources. Going down a little bit, we understand that we didn't get our district accounts right away. We wanted them as soon as possible, but it's been the biggest influx in the history of Canvas with everything that's been going on. So we understand that a lot of people created free accounts with their free teacher. These are directions that show you how to export your information from your free account and import it into your district account. We have a guide right here, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And then as you scroll down, there's just access to different apps. There's some video tutorials, as well as links to get a hold of us. Rick's personal cell phone number, his address, you can go by his house. He'll welcome you in. But I'm just going to take you to, let's say you want to just set up a user account, and I'm going to show you what happens. So if I click here and set up a user account, we're going to take you to a page that's dedicated with a click doc and a step-by-step guide on how to set up your user account. So as you can see here, we have some pictures. There's my Bitmoji. Step 1, you click on here. Step 2, click Edit Settings. Step 3, hover over your avatar, right? So very, very clear step-by-step. This is an 80-page document, and it's going to get bigger, right? We want to make sure that we're supporting you all as much as we can. But so what we've done is we've created a table of contents. So I'll just present this. You can see it, and this is part of this presentation as well. But on here are links to various pages. So if you're at the very beginning, we're recommending just go down straight. You know, setting up a user account, starting a preloaded course, creating a new course. So if I wanted to, I've gone through all there. I'm ready to design a page. I click right on here, step-by-step on how to design a page. I go through those. All right, I'm ready to go back. Click on back and table with the contents. Again, you all have access to this, and we're going to continue to build this up. For example, there's some things in here like discussion board is not in here. We'll talk more about like the commons and stuff like that. So, but that is available both on our Teacher Hub and then through this presentation. One thing we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to rename yourself in Zoom, because we would like to break up into breakout rooms with elementary and secondary. So to do this, and I have some step-by-steps on here, if you click on participants on the bottom of your screen, you should see your name pop up on the right-hand side. If you hover over your name and click on more, or is it 3 dots, Rick? There might be 3 dots on there.
Yeah. It depends what kind of view they have, what kind of monitors. You know, some people are using dual monitor setup, or they might be on a Mac. But yeah, if you hover over your picture or your your video feed or your name, whatever you have turned on or off right now, you'll see 3 dots, and you click on that and you'll see the rename option as well.
Thanks, Rick. And then just type your name, first, last name, then hyphen, and then if you teach elementary or secondary. I do apologize to my secondary folks. I am an elementary person all the way. Rick this afternoon will be presenting, and he's going to gear his towards differential calculus as he's presenting. So get ready for that, secondary. Yeah.
Matt knows how strong I am at math. I taught English.
Just like me. So. Just like me. Yeah. And then Rick's also going to be monitoring the participants. If you need help or if you're not able to rename yourself, he can private message with you. But we do ask that you do that. It'll help us as we are creating the breakout rooms. Hey, Kathy Lester, calculus. All right, so just give us a second to do that. Wait time is good on a Zoom call. It can be a little awkward sometimes, but wait time is good. So I see quite a few people that still haven't changed their names. So if you please wouldn't mind doing that, that would be great. All right, we're gonna dive in. I am going to minimize some windows so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so signing in to Canvas, there's a couple different ways. We're like in the waffle, the Belgian waffle, right up in the upper right-hand corner. Most Google apps, if you go to Google, Gmail, Calendar, you'll notice the Google Apps Launcher, also known as the waffle. Click on here, scroll down, you have Canvas LMS. It'll ask you for your login. Make sure you're using your PCCS K-12 account. It will not work with a personal Gmail account. The first thing you get to is the dashboard. Again, we talked about it in our intro class. Published courses are available to students. Unpublished are courses that are just for you or for any co-teachers that you've brought on. We have our to-do list for a teacher. It'll say, as students are turning in assignments. For students, it'll actually see assignments that have been assigned to them by all their teachers. And for families, it'll show their kid's name and if they have assignments and what assignments they have coming up. So a nice little linear progression and have access to all. Left-hand side, we have our global navigation menu. We're going to be getting into courses. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a new course. So if you ever need to develop a course, you just click on Start a New Course. I'm going to name this CIC 828 morning and create course. First thing you're going to come to, the blank slate. It automatically goes to modules. We'll talk about modules a little bit. But the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of start with a base. I want to start with something that's going to be easy to look at, that maybe has some stuff already built out. So we have our Canvas Commons. A Canvas Commons is our learning object repository. So I'll go ahead and go to Commons. It's a C with the arrow pointing to the right. Oh, there's been some updates to the K2 template. That's kind of cool that it shows that. Right, but as you can see here, what it first does is it goes to our common templates first. So these are templates that Rick developed to help some of our teachers. But also you notice that it says 136,000 results. So not only do you have access to materials that were created by Plymouth Canton Community Schools members, You also have access to the entire Canvas network. Anyone that decides to put up their information, courses, assignments up on the Commons is free to use. I went over it in the intro session, but again, if you wanted to, you can search by keyword. You can go into filter. You can go to courses, assignments, quizzes, choose a grade level. And you also go to filter if you just want to look at Plymouth Canton Community Schools. So we already have 36 items in here. That's exciting. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click on, we'll do 3.5 today. That sounds good. And you get a little preview right here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on import and download. And as you can see here, I can put this in any of my courses that I have. I probably need to start cleaning up these courses because it's getting a little ridiculous. But I'm going to click on CIC 828. I click on import into course. As you can see here, it could take a little while, depending on the size of the course. There's lots of images, and lots of embeds. It can kind of get, away. But what's nice is I can add it to favorites if I think, oh, teacher down the hall, Mrs. Smith might like this. I can copy this resource link and email it to her and let her know that I found this. But again, you'll see in here that there's all kinds of previews and different ways to kind of get started. And I'm going to click on courses, click on here and see if it's come over. Ta-da! And there it is. So before we start getting into the actual course, I want to go over the navigation bar and how you can customize this. So we call this the course navigation.
Matt.
Yeah. Sorry
to interrupt. I want to address this piece just because I think quite a few people have this question about the templates.
Okay.
The templates are optional templates. There is some guidance, and I'll post the link in the chat if you haven't seen this document yet. But it's a document that was shared, I believe, by I think it was Beth Rail that shared it. But just some guidance around some buttons that you'll need to have on your home page. Adding a template to your Canvas in the unpublished courses does allow you to go through that template. The template is in and of itself sort of a pre-made course. So there's lots of resources in there inside, links to templates. So if you don't want to recreate the banner, but you want to modify it, if you want to get the buttons and just have some buttons that are pre-made, but you can go in and change colors, add different icons, that sort of thing. There's guidance within the template that will allow you to do that, but you can only see that stuff if you add the template to your unpublished courses. And you can always go in and delete that template later on once you've extracted anything from it that you want or need. But there are lots of resources embedded within the templates, including pages that have videos geared for students that you might want to add to your course later on down the line. So again, it's an optional thing, but you might find a lot of value in adding it to your Canvas, taking some time to navigate through, see what resources are in there that you can use. Okay. If you have any questions about that, hopefully it'll be a bit more clear as we go through the navigation menu.
I also wanted to say it was never our intention to, force something onto people. Our intention was we really wanted to, because when you first open up a course and you first create a course, you get this completely blank page, and that can seem very, very overwhelming. So we geared the template to where someone could just start right up with just a few minor tweaks, but they wouldn't have to go through some design processes, and they can really get focused on how to use Canvas and how to put in information. So again, completely optional. Again, we do like, for example, we would like to have an about teacher page on the very front page so the kids can get to know you. during these times. But again, Rick posted that in the chat. So we're going to get back to the course navigation menu. Right over here is the course navigation menu, and this is going to be here throughout any page. You can take it away by clicking on the little hamburger up here to put more real estate, but we're just going to go ahead and bring it up. And what you'll notice is there's some little eyeballs right here. What this means is that these menu items are not viewable by students. So they would only see from here up. But I can also customize these. So if I scroll down and I click on settings, I can change my course image if I wanted to. So if I wanted to change this to something else, if I go into navigation, I'll see this right here. And so these are easily customizable by drag and drop. So I don't really use Nearpod that much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take that down a little bit. I do want them to have access to Clever, because that's how we're gonna access Excel and BrainPop. Collaborations doesn't really work very well. And we'll get into like a lot of these and what these items do. We'll go to Google Drive. That sounds good. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think there's anything else. I don't need a syllabus. I don't want them having access to these things. No, that's good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure I click save. If you do not click save, it will not save. It's not like Google Doc where it has auto save. And as you can see here, it's been reflected in my course navigation settings. I'm going to go back to the course. Go back to my page. First thing I want to talk about is announcements. You can send course-wide or class-wide announcements, which is really nice. The nice thing about announcements is it'll come up as a banner when the students log into your course. So if you want to convey a message and you want to make sure that everyone saw it, a little tip that I like to recommend when you're making your announcement, make sure you, if you can, upload any kind of video or audio to it. We want to think about all of our learners. You can post any links to it if you want. And then what I used to do is allow liking, and I like to do that because that lets me know that a student has read and understood the announcement. So if I say they didn't put a like, I can maybe say, hey, did you read the announcement? And just kind of make it a class expectation that when they read and understand the announcement, then they like it. Next, I want to go to inbox, which is right here on the left-hand side. Your inbox is essentially messages that will go between both students and families. We are asking that all communication does go through Canvas. It was identified in the springtime that it was very difficult for families to be able to find where do I go for information? How do I contact my teacher? You know, we had Google Classroom. We had some classes at Google Classroom and Seesaw. Some teachers were using email. Some teachers were using Blooms or Remind. And as a family, it was really hard to keep track of everything. So while you can still use Seesaw, we actually use the messaging part of Canvas and not the messaging part of Seesaw. So just wanted to call that out.
And if I could just add to that real quick,
Of course.
Yeah, the messaging in Canvas also can integrate with Gmail, and you'll be able to, you know, respond to Canvas communications in your email as well.
Yep, and you'll also be able to get into like notifications. So if you've been to my intro session, you'll see that, you know, you can have notifications sent to you right away as a daily summary, as a weekly summary, or no notifications at all. You can also have push notifications. So if you have the Canvas Teacher app, you can have push notifications sent to your phone or via SMS texting. The other thing I wanted to show you was people. I think it's important to call out people. With MyStar, one of the reasons why we purchased Canvas was it does have an integration with MyStar, so your students will be rostered. And we'll talk about grades a little bit later. So if I wanted to add someone, I can just click on plus people, and I can add them right here. I can also choose a role for them. You can have different roles. So if you have a student teacher, if you have a co-teacher, if the observer would be like for your families, observers basically have like view only rights. So they can see things, but they can't actually, create anything or add content to anything. So that would be like a parent role. But one thing I did want to call out was the group set. I really like group set because it's really where you're going to be able to differentiate for your instruction. So I'm going to click on plus group set. And what a group set is kind of the main umbrella when you look at a group. So again, you can have reading groups. I don't want to do allow self sign up. If I had like a maybe a project, I would allow self sign up. I'm going to create these manually. So when I click save, I can now start adding groups. So my reading groups are, I used to do the, and it's already here, but I used to do the Big Ten teams. Never Ohio State. Michigan State Spartans, hit save. If I wanted to, I could do project groups. Yep, we can allow self sign up. So as you can see here, you can really customize. You can assign a group leader, all this kind of stuff like that. So there's a lot of flexibility in what you can do with the groups. And when we get into assignments, you'll be able to see that you can actually assign to particular groups, to everyone, or just to select kids. I know you're thinking, this is already a lot, right? And I'll say it at the end, and I kind of say it throughout. It sometimes feel like it's drinking from a fire hose. There's a lot of information all at once, and we get it. The district has been very supportive in making sure that you get as much help as you need. So again, with these PD sessions, with these being recorded, we have the September 1st PD. Hope you got that email yesterday with the Zoom links. Thank you to facilitators that are going to be helping with us. But Canvas also has support built in. So by clicking on the question mark on the lower left-hand corner, you'll be able to notice that there's some options here. First thing I want to point out is the Canvas guides. We really like the Canvas guides. We think it's really well laid out. If you want and you say, okay, I'm just looking for what are modules. So I click on enter. And I'm going to see what are modules, and in here are just like our doc, where it's a step-by-step and how to create, gives you examples, tells you how to do it, what to do. So they're really, really nice, digestible resources. They also have really quick videos, like less than 5-minute videos that shows you how to do things. So we really like the Canvas guides. Another thing I want to point out is the chat with Canvas support. The district has paid for 24/7, 365 support. So, and I would not recommend this, but I probably will end up doing it, is it's 2:30 in the morning and it's Christmas Eve and you're working on some Google stuff and you want to put it in Canvas and you can't figure it out. Feel free to chat with someone. Feel free to call them with the 1-800 number. You can also ask the instructor the question, which is really nice. One thing that we found out yesterday is, it's the beginning of the school year and it's really busy for Canvas, right? There's a lot of things going on. It's a really big influx, and sometimes it was taking us like an hour to an hour and a half to kind of get a hold of someone at Canvas. And she said for school districts that did not pay for that tier 1, they're looking at about a week out for help. So we're very fortunate in the district paying for that. And so I would highly encourage you to use this. Rick and I are also here, but we're also, 2 of us. And sometimes it takes us, 24 to 48 hours to get back to folks. We're here, you can get answers extremely quick. The other thing I wanted to point out before we start getting into things, and I'll just do it when I go into pages, but if I go into pages right now, you'll notice on the upper right-hand corner, there is a little arrow with a line, and that is not showing up, and that is very embarrassing. So I apologize for that. Man, there it is. I don't know why it was in pages. Maybe it's my internet. But if I click right here on this arrow that goes to the left, I'll see here that there is customized help for the home page. Theoretically, if I had gone to pages, and maybe because it was on the home page, maybe if I click on view all pages, it might show up. I'm actually want to try that right now to see if it actually does. Yeah, there it is. So here's the arrow that goes to the left, and now the help is geared towards pages and any questions you might have on pages. So again, what I did was I just clicked on pages on the left-hand side. I'm sorry for bouncing in and out. I don't mean to make anybody dizzy. But you're first going to come to your front page, which is your home page. Your home page is what your students see first. But if I wanted to add a new page, or if I wanted to view all my pages, always click on View All Pages in the upper left-hand corner. And as you can see here, part of that template that we sent out are different examples. We have some modules in here. We have some how-tos. We have how to customize. So a lot of things that kind of get you started and get you started playing around with building your course. But I want to create a page. So I'm going to click on plus page. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I've been doing some kind of like, I'm doing like an animal theme, and I'm going to do all about raccoons. Is that not spelled right? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, while you're doing some of that creation, I just
Yeah.
want to point out, because people are asking this question in the document. So all of the things at the front of this session, things like pages and assignments, these are all building blocks that are going to lead us towards what modules are and how you can use them. You have to build all of these different assets. And when I say assets, I mean pages and assignments, for example. You have to have some of those things created in order to put those things into modules. So that will be explained later on if you have questions about what's the difference between an assignment and a module. You'll see the magic of modules as we get down. So the main thing is really, pay attention to this rich content editor that Matt is going to demonstrate for you now. It's going to be really important in how you create those pages and assignments and what you might want to use those for.
There's a method to our madness. And I was meeting with the facilitators for the September 1st PD a couple days ago, and they gave a really good kind of analogy that I'll definitely try and do it justice when I explain modules. So up on the top here, under the title, is the rich content editor. And as you can see on the very top, it's very similar to like if you were to be in Google Docs or be in Word. So we are going to learn all about raccoons. Okay. So if I want, I can highlight, I can bold it, underline, I can change the color, I can make it bigger text. I can do a bunch of different things similar to what I can do in Google. Right down below, we have, this is kind of the media part of the rich content editor, and we're going to go into each of these. What I'm doing on this page, I probably would not recommend as a regular page. It's going to seem very busy. It's not going to make a lot of sense, but I'm just showing you the different features just so you'll know what they do and how to use them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table, and in that table, I'm going to do like a 3x2 or 2x3 grid. And in here, I'm going to do, what do raccoons eat? Where do raccoons live? What do raccoons do for fun? Okay. And then if I want, I can highlight these, I can center these. All right. So the first thing I want to showcase is how to hyperlink something. So you can hyperlink something to go out to Google Land, to anywhere on the internet. Obviously, you want to make sure that it's safe for kids. But I want to show you how to hyperlink text. So Raccoons like to eat everything, right? They do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Google and I'm going to say fun facts about raccoons. All right. I'm going to look here. I'm going to go in here. This looks good right here. I'm just going to take a look. Yeah, there's actually there's a lot of ads in here. I probably wouldn't want to take my kids to that. National Geographic, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think my kids will like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this link. So I'm gonna copy it. So Command C. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight this text. And then there's a link to URL right here. So I'm gonna click on link to URL. I'm gonna paste it. And insert the link. Now it's highlighted, so if kids come into this page, they'll be able to click on that link. Next thing I want to show you is I want to show you how you can put in a picture. So of course you can, go to images.google.com, find a picture that you like, right click or copy and paste it in here or save image as, and there's quite a few steps. Built into Canvas is this Images tab right over here, and it utilizes something called Flickr. So if I click on Flickr, the nice thing about Flickr is all these images are approved through Creative Commons, meaning they don't have any copyright tied to them, so they are free to use. So I'm just going to type in raccoons, and it also does a safe search as well. Let's see here, where's it good? Rick, do you mind just talking just for a second while I talk to my son real quick?
Sure.
Thanks. If there's a question, maybe addressed.
Yep. So as I mentioned earlier, the rich content editor is incredibly powerful. Anytime you're creating a page or an assignment, there are a number of places where the rich content editors show up. Matt is creating a page, obviously, and he's embedding, he's creating some content directly in there. So you can see it works a lot like a Google Doc in a sense. That said, you can also, if you have a Google Doc created for whatever you want to use here, you can also just embed a Google Doc directly onto a page. So you can use content that you already have in your Google Drive as well. But he's illustrating that, if you don't already have a Google Doc created and you would like to create something on a page, this can function in much the same way.
Yeah, and I'll show everyone how to do that too. We'll get to it. All right, so yeah, let's do this one right here. This is cute. So I'm gonna click on that little photo, and it goes right into my table. So I'm gonna just minimize this so people can see it. Maybe center it like that. So there's my photo. The other thing I want to show you that you can do is you can actually link things to other pages in that are in Canvas. So pages, assignments, you can basically link to any parts of Canvas that you want kids to go to. So for example, we saw at the very beginning that you can put those icons where it says like all about teacher. Well, what that would do is that when a student would click on that, it would take them to the all about teacher page that the teacher has developed beforehand. And so what I'm going to do, what they'll do for fun, they like to go into garbage cans, okay? And so what I'm going to do is you can do this with an image or you can do this with a link, and I'll show you how to do it on an image in just a second. But I just highlight this, and if you see links on the right-hand side, if I click on links, I can now link this to any of these parts. So if I wanted to go to a particular page, I can have it go to a page. If there's an assignment that I wanted to go to, if there's a quiz I wanted to go to, I'm just going to pick a random one. So I'm going to click here. And as you can see, that's now linked. So when a kid clicks on here, it's going to take them to this assignment. to actually do an image. I can't actually find it. There's my cursor. To link an image, so I'm just going to do another image real quick so I can show you what it looks like. If I click on the image and you see now it's blue, I can go to links and I can link it to a page if I want. I can link it to an announcement, or I can link it to a website, right? If I click on here and click up here, I can have it linked to Google or raccoons.com. Not sure if that's actually a thing, but you know, you can link it to basically anything. So when a kid comes on, they can click on this image and it'll send them to a link that you would like. I'm just going to delete that. We don't need it right now. All right. So it was mentioned earlier about Google, and so I want to be somewhat clear about this because this is where it can be kind of confusing. So there's two different things you can do with Google in Clever. Well, there's probably more than two, but two that I'm thinking of right now. One is you can
Canvas.
embed Canvas. What did I say?
You said Clever. I know. I do it sometimes.
I appreciate you all. In Canvas, so one way is embedding Google Docs or slides or anything from your Google Drive into this rich content editor. And what this is going to do, this is going to give view-only access for the students. It's not going to assign anything like we do in Google Classroom, because we're not in assignments. We're using the rich content editor to embed a file, very similar to like when you upload from your computer. So this can be a PDF or what have you. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you click on the V on the top of the rich content editor, and I have to go into Google Drive. And because we're signed in with our Google accounts, everything's already linked. So I'm going to select the file. Takes me right into my Google Drive. I know a lot of teachers and a lot of schools use shared drives if they have any thing they share with. So I'm just going to click on, here's my beautiful raccoon presentation. I click on add, and it's just letting me know that attaching this file is going to change that sharing setting that anyone with this link can access it, right? Because you're giving access for a Google Doc to view only. So I'm going to click attach. And I'm just going to bring this down so you can see it. And by bringing it down, it's just these kind of a slanted triangle down here. I'm going to press and hold. And now kids or whomever can come to my page and they can go through my presentation. This could be a Google Doc on here. This could be a PDF. Again, this is just embedding into this page. The last thing I want to show you is how to upload media. You can do this a couple different ways, but if you click on this record upload media button, looks like a little play, a couple different things you can do. So right now, if I was to start recording, it would be an audio file. So I'm thinking about my young teachers. I'm thinking in terms of, K through 2, or if we support students that have lower reading levels, if we wanted to give them directions, we could record ourselves speaking the directions. The other thing you can do, and I'm going to stop my video and do open here. You'll also notice you can do document camera, so you can record yourself with your document camera. So if you want to send out a quick lesson on a math equation, again, we're just going to give him the differential calculus, and he's going to have some fun with this later. But I'm going to click right here on camera. Hello. Let's see here. Today we're going to learn all about raccoons. What's your favorite thing about raccoons? Not finish. Oh, about raccoons. Not save. It takes a couple minutes for it to embed, and so once you're live with this page in a couple minutes, this video will show. So Like we would recommend this maybe on your front page, maybe welcoming students in. They can click on the video and you can kind of tell about yourself. Obviously, you can use it in the About Your Teacher page. But what's nice is kids also have this rich content editor at the top. So if they wanted to, they can upload a video of themselves. They can upload a Google Doc. They can upload, create a table and create links. They have all this access for them as well. So when we think about UDL perspective and how we're giving kids access and how they're able to then take that and kind of personalize it for themselves, they're able to do that with Canvas. Scroll down a little bit, I can see here that I can actually have students edit. Why would I want to do that? Well, a couple different things. So one thing I've seen people do, and obviously it depends on the age level of what you teach, but maybe you might have a community page where you're asking kids, to bring in to post photos of their families or of their homes, or and you don't want to get 30 photos sent to you via Google Drive or email. You can just give them editing access and they'll be able to embed photos. So again, very bottom, very important. Two things I want to call out. One is save. So again, if I was just to leave this page right now, if I was to close this out, all this would go bye-bye. So again, you want to make sure you click on save, or you can do save and publish. Now what publish does is, let's say this course is live and you're happy with this page. If you click on save and publish, it'll show up for the kids right away. They'll be able to go into pages and they'll be able to see this. If you just click save, they will not have access until you publish it. So it's still kind of in a mode where you can still kind of work on it and kids won't be able to have access. So I'm just going to click on save. And it saves my page. So there's my presentation, there's my table up there, there's my little video on the bottom left-hand corner.
Matt?
Yes.
Would you be willing to just do a brief student view? I'm getting a lot of questions about, creating dummy accounts and that sort of thing. I think people want to see what students are going to see.
Sure. And that's a really nice thing about Canvas is that I know something you could not do with Google Classroom that you can do with Canvas is do a student view. So what you do is you just go back home. On the right-hand side, you're going to notice some different options, but one of those options is student view. So if I click right here on student view, you can see here in the purple that you're in student view. You can see here that all those menu items are now missing. There's limited access. For example, there's no access to comments. So we don't allow our students to go into comments. One thing I want to do is I'm going to quickly open it up so they can see pages. So we'll be able to see what that page is, that page I created looks like. I'll go up here, that, save. Okay. Now if I click on pages, and I view all pages. Again, this might seem overwhelming. The reason why we see these right now is because in our system they're published. In my course, they're published. If I was to unpublish all these, kids would not see these. And because I didn't publish. Oh, Rick, you're throwing a loop at me.
Sorry about that.
Man.
Gotta publish. Must publish.
Throwing me off my game. Home, student view, pages.
While Matt's navigating through that, I also want to note that in the Google Doc that you're sharing your questions with, a number of the longer links that you see that I'm posting, those are on the Canvas knowledge base. And so it's really helpful to go to the knowledge base when you have a question. I'm not saying don't ask them now. I'm happy to, find the resource and share it with you. But I've found that the knowledge base is incredibly helpful, particularly because there are tons of step-by-step, screenshot click docs that will take you step by step through a thing that you want. So the last one I just posted was, how do you embed a hyperlink, or how do you put a hyperlink or embed a file from Google Drive using the rich content editor? And it's a step by step. So if you didn't get it when Matt demonstrated it, and you learn better by looking at those click docs, please, bookmark the knowledge base in some way. And it's a great way to get questions answered quickly.
And I'm going to apologize too, because this is embarrassing that this is being recorded. This big grammatical error right here. We are going to learning all about raccoons. So there needs to be a B right there. So I apologize. So I'll change that in just a second. But this is what it looks like from the student view. So they'll see this over here. They'll have access to this. They can still go into the slide deck and still change things out. And then again, they can still, watch my little video. But I'm going to leave student view. I'm going to edit. And I'm going to fix this. It's bothering me. All right. The last thing I want to point out is in the upper right-hand corner of the page, it says check accessibility. And I wanted to call this out because it's important to know that we really want to make sure we are being accommodating for all of our learners. What this does is it checks to make sure that everything on this page can be read by a screen reader or any other accommodation that a student needs. So if you have a student with a visual impairment, this will enable that. So if I click on this check accessibility, on the right-hand side, it's going to tell you that it's actually found some errors. The table should include a caption describing the contents of the table. So questions about raccoons with links and images, we can just put. And then tables should include at least one header. So I can do a header row. I hit apply. And as you can see here, it says no accessibility issues were detected. So we are good to go. Let's click on this little X. And I'm going to click on save. All right. We're actually going to take this time to take about a, I'd say, 12-minute break. So we'll come back together at 10:10. I need to put together the breakout rooms for our breakout sessions. So if you haven't already done so, if you could please make sure you rename yourself with your first and last name or just your first name, and make sure you put elementary or secondary, and I will see everyone at 10:10. So I'll see you all soon. All right, thanks so much. And thank you again to Anne-Marie to having my back. So a question was asked in the elementary section, and I want to make sure I address it. So as you're creating pages and as you're creating things, information can be shared very easily and copied to different courses. So you'll notice the snowman in the upper right-hand corner. I call it the snowman, but this gives you a couple different options. One thing I could do is I can make this my front page. Obviously I probably wouldn't do that because that would be very random, but I could make this my front page. You'll notice three buttons right here. You can send to, so I can simply, start typing, Rick's name. I can find him and I'll click send. That sends this page to him. And what he's going to get is on his, and I'm sure his is probably up to like 8 or 9 right now, is this little notification on his little picture. And when you click on that, you see shared content. And so on here, you can actually say, yes, I want that, or no, that's okay, thanks for anyway. So you can actually share content very easily like that. The other thing you can do is you can copy to. And so let's say you're in this page, and this would be really good for my other page. So I'm going to type in CIC 824 as an example. I can click on here and then click copy. And then that copies that page directly to that course. A question was asked, well, what about a whole course? What if I want to copy a whole course? That's the directions that are on the Digital Teacher Hub when he talks about exporting a course and then importing. So again, those directions are in there. They're in this presentation. If you go to the table of contents, you'll actually see where it says import and export instructions, but it is all done through settings. So we have our page. There's our beautiful page. What I want to do now is I want to create an assignment. Again, an assignment is something that you are assigning to kids, something that you would like them to do. First thing I want to take note of is the plus group. If I click on plus group, I can actually make different groups. So again, being elementary, and again, I apologize to my secondary folks, but I'm going to start creating an ELA assignment, a math group, I might have science, I'm thinking about, but this can even be like projects, it can be however you want. And that's just going to help you when you start getting organized. It's just going to help in the long run, kind of finding different things, because you can see here, it breaks it down so I can actually see what are all involved. But I'm going to go ahead and click on plus assignment. And just like with the page, you have your rich content editor at the top. So again, here is where you're going to give your instructions. Is in the box. Instructions go here. And we're doing raccoons, so raccoon assignment. Not very creative title. But again, here's where I put, like, if there is a PDF I want the kids to read before doing the assignment, and I can embed that with my Google Drive. If there's a video I want them to watch, I can upload a video. Here's where I'll showcase Studio and showcase some of the things you can do with YouTube, which is pretty cool. If I want them to go to a link first, so if I want them to go to that National Geographic site and read that article, that page first before doing the assignments. Again, all of your instructions go in here. But I talked about YouTube. If I click on Studio, Studio is it's a video tool that we have purchased through Canvas. And one of the nice things is, and I'll get into actual video creation later, but you can upload YouTube videos. The nice thing about uploading YouTube videos is that it takes away the ads and it takes away the video recommendations at the end of the video, which is really, really nice. I know we do have some good filters, and especially if kids are signed in with their PCCS Google account, we have some filters as well, but sometimes we just don't want to see the ads. And so all you would do is just take the YouTube link, paste it into here, and then I can click on here. If I want kids to comment on it, I can click embed, and then the YouTube video shows up right into the instructions. Okay. Here's where we're actually going to start getting into the actual assignment. All right, so here's where you can put grades. So if you want to do grades, so I'm going to make this 10 points as an example. Again, we talked about those groups. So I'm going to say that this is a science group. How I want to display the grade. So if I want to do this as points, as a percentage, complete, incomplete, not graded, we're just going to do it as points. See here, if you want to count towards the final grade. Then you have different submission types, and we're going to go these one by one. First one is online. So online is, it'll give them the options of that rich content editor. So if you want them to submit a text entry, so let's say you're doing a writing assignment and you want them to type, this is where you do a text entry, so I can just check here. If you want them to upload a website URL, so for example, you have a lesson on digital citizenship and you want them to create a Google site, you can have them upload their Google site. Or there's a site that you want them to research, of sites that maybe have good examples of research. You can upload a URL. if you want them to upload a video, photo, or audio. You can do it as a media recording. I'm thinking about my math teachers. If a lot of math is done, with writing, with pencil and paper, by doing a media recording, this gives them the option to use a webcam or use their camera on their iPad to upload a piece of paper. Excuse me. And then the last one is file uploads. This one's not going to pertain to us as much just because we are a Google district and we go through Google. This would be like if you want them to attach like a Word doc, if you're having them upload a PDF, things like that. Next one is no submission. So it doesn't require a submission. So in this case, an example of that could be like a notes document. So the notes document to this YouTube video. You want them to watch the YouTube video, and then the assignment is to take notes. And then they can submit they don't have to submit their notes. It's just, again, giving them an example of what they could do. On paper, again, you're not going to use this too much right now. You might use this more if for any Safe Start teachers. But basically what this means is this is saying to the students, you're actually going to complete this work on paper and then turn it in when you come into class next. Last is going to be external tool, and then we're going to focus on external tool a bit. Rick, did you have a question, or are you good? Sorry, I heard the...
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so external tool. This is for all my my Google Classroom folks. So this is how we're going to learn about Google Assignments. So Google Assignments is the alternative to Google Classroom. Google Assignments was built by Google, so it is very Googly. And to access this is how you do it. So you want to make sure that you're on external tool. What you want to do next is you want to click Find. It's going to have all the apps in here that we have listed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Google Assignments. And again, this is for the Google Classroom. This is to enable you to assign kids work. So what the system is going to automatically do is going to create a copy for each kid, similar like it has in Google Classroom, where once the student has the assignment, they complete the graphic organizer or the worksheet or wherever you have it. In the upper right-hand corner, there's that blue submit button, and then it submits right to you. Very similar to Google Classroom. So I'm going to link. So first you have to give permissions. You're allowing Google to have access from Canvas. And this should look very familiar to a lot of folks. First thing I want to call out is the originality reports. You get 5 originality reports per year. An originality report is basically a plagiarism checker, similar to Turnitin. So again, you have 5 assignments per year that you could use this in. And all you just do is just turn that on. When I'm actually ready to do my assignment, I click on Attach. Again, very similar to one you embed. So before, I was embedding this. I gave view-only rights before when I embedded it in the page. Now what I want to do is if I click on here, each student is going to get a copy of this slide deck to be able to edit on and to be able to submit something. That's the big difference. You want to make sure you match the points to what you had at the beginning of the screen. You can set a due date, particular time. Here's where you can also either create a rubric. So I can create a rubric right here to make grading a lot easier. Or I can upload a rubric if I have a rubric that I've already used, or no rubric. And then I simply click Create. That's been created. I now click Select. And there it is. There's my Google assignment. So again, very similar to what you did with Google Classroom. It's going to make a copy for each student. You're just going to have a little bit more options in terms of, extra things. Speaking of options, you have submission attempts. How many times do you want them to be able to attempt to submit it? You can do unlimited, or you can do limited, and you can have a custom number. This is a big one right here, especially for our secondary folks. Including this assignment's grade when you're syncing to MyStar, so sync to Q. So if you want this assignment and you want that grade to be reflected in MyStar, you can. So all you would do is you would check this button, you would release that assignment. As soon as that's graded, that grade is going to be synced with MyStar, and it's going to be reflected within 24 hours. If you don't want it to go to MyStar, you can simply just uncheck it. I do want to call out that this is called grade passback, and it's in what's called beta. And so if you're familiar with that software term, basically what it means in something's in beta, it means it's a new program or platform that is newer to the public. And so there could be situations where you might be getting some errors or something that might be happening. You want to make sure you submit a search-through ticket, so then we can send the ticket to MyStar and to Canvas to make sure that's addressed. Here's where you do the assigning. I can do it to everyone. I can do it to individual kids. I talked about those groups earlier, so reading groups or project groups. You can fully customize and differentiate to what you want. Again, that due date that I put in the Google Assignments, I want to make sure that due date is also the same here. You don't want those to be two different due dates. When you have that done, you can either hit save and publish if you're ready for students to see it, or you just click save. I'll show you what it looks like from a student perspective. If I click on home. Oh, hold on. I'm not going to see it because I didn't publish it. So let me publish it real quick. But just to show you how easy it is to publish, I just click on that little button right there. Now I'm going to go into student view. Rick, while I do this, is there any questions?
There are, and I forgive me because I was actually researching something. There is a question about getting into modules and Studio, which is coming up. So the question was about, can we tell if students have watched a video or clicked on instructions before starting an assignment? And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's really cool how it works, and it's not difficult to set up. So we're getting there, and that's coming.
Groovy. All right, I'm going to click on student view now that it's present. So I'm going to click on assignments. I see here that I'm not seeing as much because what I saw before was because these are the only things that have been published to me. So again, you can really, really drill down to kids, what they exactly see in assignments. But if I click on here, oh, my teacher wants me to watch this video. So I'm going to click and watch this video right now. I can add a comment if I want. This looks like a great video. Okay. You hear my 6-year-old? Can you grab the okay. Thank you. I can comment at a specific time. So if I go to the 12 minutes and 59 seconds. I apologize for a second. And I can say, I think this was a space video. I would love to go to Jupiter one day. And I can comment at 12:59. So when that video comes, if I watch that video back, I can see that they put a comment. But here's my Google assignment down here. And again, I'm already as an instructor, but if I was a kid, I would see that slide presentation. I would, I would work on it, and then there would be a blue submit button on the upper right-hand corner. So that's assignments. I'm going to show you SpeedGrader real quick for my secondary folks. I'm not sure how this is going to look because I don't have students in my account. But basically what you would see on here is you would have the Google Doc right here. You could still add comments, but that rubric that you created would show up over here. So you could grade to the rubric. Here's where you would put the score. And what's really nice is, and I would highly recommend this, is in Google Docs, you can actually create video or audio feedback or comments. Now you can. So if I wanted to, I could click on this little media button right here. Jupiter's my favorite planet as well. Thanks for sharing. In this, and click save. And then it's giving them that more personalized feedback, which for these times we like. And what's really nice is you'll see test student right here. I could simply arrow over and I can see all my students at once. I can either pick a student or go right, click, click, click. And once I do the grades, that grades are already reflected in grades. And if I check that MyStar, again, it'll sync to MyStar, and within 24 hours, that will be reflected in MyStar. So that's kind of a down and dirty SpeedGrader showcasing. Okay. Rick had mentioned Studio, so we're going to get into Studio now. Unless, Rick, is there any other questions that I can help answer?
Not currently.
Okay, great. So I showed you a little bit of Studio actually inside something, but what I'm going to do now is actually show you Studio, how you can actually create videos, as well as upload YouTube and some of the options that you'll have. So as you can see here, here's some of the videos that we've added that you can look at. But once I click record, I'm given two options. So I can do a screen capture or a webcam capture. In the springtime, we were using Screencastify, and Screencastify was nice in that they were allowing teachers to have the pro version for free, where you could have, I believe it's up to 40 minutes, but it might have been unlimited. That has gone away. So now they're down to 5-minute intervals. And you can have a really powerful video within 5 minutes. If you want to just get something across and just a quick lesson or a quick problem, it's great. But we also have screen capture, a part of Studio. So imagine you can use screen capture to actually create your lessons in Studio. It still has the annotation tools and everything like that. So you can, mark on certain places and highlight certain things. And then when you're done recording, it just shows up right in Studio. Or again, you can do a webcam capture. Again, this is more just kind of the webcam right here. In the screen capture, it does have the little square with the face on it, but I'm going to go ahead and do a webcam capture, and I'm going to stop my video. I apologize. I keep on coming in and out. Oh, I do that every time. Okay, so I can see that my mic is working. I'm going to do webcam, and let's see here. I actually really don't like raccoons that much. When I was 5 years old, I gave a raccoon a Dorito and it bit my thumb, and so now I have a scar on my thumb from the raccoon. So I'm gonna click on finish. Why I don't like raccoons. Click on save. And now what it's doing is it's uploading my video. It's also analyzing the speech, because in Studio there is speech to text for captions. So you can create custom captions. I'm going to click on view. And again, it has this comment feature built in. So it's very similar if you're familiar with Edpuzzle. You can have different things pop up on a video. So like if there's a question you want to have answered. So let's say if it's right here, at 5 seconds, and I put, have you ever been bitten by an animal? It is no fun. I hit comment. And so now when my kids see the video, you can see that comment comes up here and also down here. So they're free to reply, and so you get that interactive video back and forth. So kids can interact with each other and give peer feedback, and this is where you can give them feedback as well. I'm actually going to click on captions first before I get into insights, because this can take a while to load. But what's nice is I can actually choose if I want this to be in English, and I click on request. And what it's doing is it's analyzing my speech, and then it's going to give the speech to text. I can also do this in multiple languages. So you can see here, there's Arabic, German, Korean. If you don't see a language on here, we can actually download up to, I believe it's 40 different languages. We just download language packs, which is really nice. I'm going to go over to insights. So that question was asked, how do we know if a student has watched the video? Well, in the video, you can actually see who's watched it. And then if you were to click on the student, you'll be able to see how long they watched it for. So let's say you clicked on test student and it stopped at the 2 seconds. They said, oh, I watched the video. You go in here and say, it looks like you stopped at the 2 seconds here and you didn't actually watch it. So there's a little bit of an accountability piece, which is really nice. Again, I can go here and I can change it to I can put it into different courses. So it's probably still queuing up right now. But yeah, and you also have the option to download if you want. Oh, that's a very unflattering. I'm gonna, oh God, oh, okay, all right. We're not gonna get anywhere. That's gonna be a good, that's fine. All right, so I can also download right here. So if I wanted to download and maybe upload that to, like if I have a class YouTube page where parents can subscribe to watch any of the videos that maybe we create. The nice thing about Studio is Studio is available for your kids. So if you're thinking about demonstrations of learning, if you're thinking about how kids could utilize Studio, and if you want them creating their own videos, their own screen capture, their own feedback, they can also do the captions. So it's really, really nice and really, really interactive. I'm gonna click on review and publish. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit play, and then what's going to happen is, and I wonder if I can do it where share computer sound, just so you can kind of hear what it's saying. So I actually really don't like raccoons that much. So I put really in here, really don't like raccoons that much. So as you can see here, I can kind of customize the errors as I was making them. And then when I hit publish, when kids watch the video, I actually really don't like raccoons that much. When I was 5 years old, the raccoons would show, the captions would come up here on the top and show the captions. So that's Studio. And again, I can click on add. I can upload my own media file. So if there is lessons and screencastifys that I created last year in the springtime, I can bring those in. If I'm a team teacher and I have my team is working on ELA, one's working on math, and they create videos, I can upload their videos, and then again, the YouTube as well. Any question on Studio, Rick?
Yeah, so somebody asked that, somebody said that they love Edpuzzle, and we get that. They like the question functionality. They didn't see where you can do that in Studio. I did post a link in the question doc to a page for functionality for Studio. but it has some of the functionalities. So it's not, obviously it's not exactly like Edpuzzle, but you can add Edpuzzle as a resource. I was just double checking to see that you can add Edpuzzle.
Yep. Yeah, and like with Edpuzzle, for example, I know Edpuzzle does like auto pausing, so you can't do that in Studio. I know in Edpuzzle, when you do questions, you can have it auto graded, which is not part of Studio. So again, there's kind of some differences between, but there's limitations with Edpuzzle, right? Because you have limitations on video size, the amount of videos. Yes, it's free, but it's what we call a freemium, right? If you want some of those premium features, you do have to pay for it. Whereas Studio is built into Canvas, which is really nice. Okay, so I know there's been a lot of questions about modules, and as we've been doing these trainings, this has been it's hard to kind of picture what a module is and what I've been doing. So I'll try to equate it to what we talked about with our facilitator group, and Rick and even Jen, if you want to chime in, please, I welcome it. So what a module is, it's a linear progression of what you want your kids to do. This can be done by a day. So imagine if I'm a second grader and it's Tuesday, September 15th. I click on the Tuesday button, and then I'm going to be taken to the Tuesday module. Now we'll just say Tuesday, September 8th. And I'll see here that I'm going to click on Begin Here. I'm going to click on Begin Here. So I'm going to say, okay, and this is just a page that you as a teacher customized. So here's my overview for the day. I can obviously read Latin because every second grader can read Latin. Here's my to-do list of what I have to do. Again, you can make this by a video. You can do this as a screencast video. You can do this as an audio recording, whatever you would like. But then you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner where it says Next. This is the real power in modules, is that I can actually customize it to go to maybe an assignment that I have coming up next, or I want them to go to a discussion board, or I want them to go into a particular page or watch a YouTube video. So you can customize the progression of that day, okay? I've seen some modules where they do it by weeks. So you might have Monday through Friday. I've seen it where you might do it as like units. So like unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. So it's a pedagogical decision on how you use modules. And so I'm going to show you how you create a module and how modules can be easily duplicated. So I like to think of like a module like this. So imagine you have and I'll use Tracy Stops. She said a filing cabinet, right? So in that filing cabinet, you have your student work. Here's what students are going to see. So this is the student filing cabinet. And the first folder in the first piece of artifact in the filing cabinet is this. The second one is this. So that's the student one. Here are your teaching filing cabinets. I'm going to take an assignment from my filing cabinet and put it in the student filing cabinet because I want them to do it. And again, you can say filing cabinet, you can say, binder, however you want to put it. But that's kind of how we're figuring out what that looks like. But I'm just going to go ahead and as you can see here, and I apologize for going up and down, we made these more elementary friendly. So when a kid comes in here, they can see the little numbers. Okay, that's math. Okay, I see the books on here. Okay, so that's reading. I see a storm cloud with rain. Okay, that's going to be science. And obviously, this is something that you just teach your kids, right? You teach them, with a screencast video, or when you're doing your Zoom, you can showcase, Canvas. You can say, okay, so on a daily basis, you're going to come here, you're going to click here, then here, and then here. Okay. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. Okay, so it's Tuesday, September 15th. So I want to copy, actually it's Monday, September 14th, and I need to get ready for the day, for tomorrow. So I'm going to duplicate this Tuesday, September 8th. So I'm going to click on the three dots right here, and I'm going to click duplicate. And what that did was it just brought everything over, so now I can fully customize this to however I want. So I'm going to edit, and I'm going to say Tuesday, September 15th.
Can I interrupt really quick, Matt?
Of course.
Do the links automatically come over or not?
The links will automatically come over. So what you would just do is you would just customize based on that.
Okay, so okay. All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that a little bit.
Okay.
If you have, there are a couple caveats to duplicating modules. One is if you've used an external tool in a module. So
like a Google assignment?
Yes, like a Google assignment. Or there is a quiz already in a module. You'll have to remove those before duplicating. Otherwise, you won't be able to duplicate.
We think it has something to do with like the sharing options, because when you create a new module, you can essentially share that module with anyone. And we think it has to do with the sharing options, not only with the quiz, but the sharing options like you have with Google. We're still trying to get an exact answer from Canvas about it. But yeah, essentially what you would just do, you would just take them out, and I'll show you how to do that. It's super, super simple to take something out of a module and then put it back in. But as you can see here, I can lock it. So I want this to unlock on September 15th. So I can publish it and kids won't even be able to see it on September 15th, and then maybe at like 8 a.m. or something like that. Here's where I can add a prerequisite. So I want them to, you could have them do a module first before they can have access to this module. So as an example, we wouldn't want to do this just because based off of families and their schedules, but as an example, you could say you need to do Monday, September 14th before you can attempt Tuesday, September 15th, right? And I know in the springtime, there was a lot of issues where, you as a teacher would create a video for your kids that you wanted them to do. And when you did the assignment, you could tell that they didn't watch the video, right? So in this case, you could make that video as part of the other module, and then they'd have to go on before they can do the assignment. Okay, so that's a prerequisite. A requirement is a little bit different. A requirement is you have a couple different options. One is students must complete all of the requirements. So everything in this module, they have to do. You can also make it so they have to do it in sequential order, right? So they have to start with begin here, then they would have to go to math, then they have to go to reading. They couldn't do begin here and do their science first or do their reading first. The other thing you can do is when you click on must complete one of these requirements, and I apologize if this isn't in here, but let's say you have an assignment on here, you need to force it to say they need to contribute to a discussion board before they can go on, or they have to get a score on a quiz of at least 7 out of 10 to be able to go on and to be able to move on. So you as a teacher can kind of put the brakes on some of these things and make sure work is being done beforehand. But I'm going to actually start putting stuff in, okay? So what I'm going to do is, because I want to put stuff into this binder or into this filing cabinet. And that's why we save modules to the end, because you have to create content first. You have to put stuff in your teacher binder first before it can be put into your student binder, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna click on plus. And as you can see here, I have access to all my assignments. I can either put in a new assignment as a placeholder, but I have my raccoon assignment. So I'm gonna put my raccoon assignment in. Over on the left-hand side, you have these 8 dots. I can easily move this to where I want it to go. So after they click begin here, it'll take them to that Google assignment. Or I could put it under science. To make it a little bit easier for the kids to see, you can all do what's called indenting. So if I click on the three little dots here on the right-hand side, I can increase the indent so they can kind of see, here's the main subject. I'm going to indent out just so they can kind of get to it, okay? Now I'm going to add a page. So I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to add a page. All about raccoons. We can add item. And there's my page. So before they get to the raccoon assignment, they need to look at the page first. Rick, can you take it for just a second?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I will talk about a little bit this piece about modules. Ultimately, when you're thinking about how you want to organize your modules, it's going to depend on whether you're elementary or secondary. Most Canvas users, as I noted in the chat, organize their modules by week or by unit or topic. This is just an example. You don't have to use the day-by-day method. Bridget noted that, if you were doing a day, daily modules, then you would have 180 modules, by the end of the year. So you can collapse modules. So, and I'm not controlling the screen right now, but if you look at the top, that gray bar, that's the bar in the icons that control the entire module. So from left to right, you have that little series of dots, which Matt demonstrated allows you to drag things around. You can drag things from one module to another module. And there's also a little triangle next to that. That allows you to collapse the module. So if you have, 20 things in a single module, right, that page is going to start to get really long and sort of unruly. But if you click on that little triangle, it's going to collapse that module into that one gray bar. So as you're adding more modules, you can collapse them, right? Once you're past the module, you just collapse it and then you keep going down the page. Moving farther to the right of the module, you can see where there's that sort of circle with the cross through it. That's the publish or unpublish. And you can either publish or unpublish individual things within a module, or you can globally at the top publish or unpublish the entire module. And then there's a couple of other control functions next to that, right? So really it's just a pedagogical choice at some point. We do recommend at bare minimum, you are, particularly for full virtual learning, week by week makes the most sense. But again, thinking about our littlest ones and the homepage and how you want them to maybe more graphically be able to get to it, the Monday through Friday buttons made a lot of sense because you can assign those buttons to a particular module, and you can keep that module page really simple for the littlest ones. So hopefully that answers some of your questions about how modules are working for different grade levels.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. The other thing I didn't get into, and I apologize, I'll come back to it later, is discussions, and just showcasing what you could do with discussions. But if I go back here to edit, and these requirements now that I have these in here, so let's say I have the assignment right here. So again, there's a couple different options that they must do. So they have to at least maybe view the item. Do they have to mark it as done? Do they have to submit the assignment? Or they have to score at least, 8 out of 10. So once I click on update module, you can see that now it says complete one item. And then it has right here, they have to score at least 8 points before they can go on. So you as a teacher have a lot of flexibility and how you can do this. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make sure all these other modules are unpublished except for this one, just so you can see, like, from a student perspective, what this would look like. Okay, so I only have right now this Tuesday, September 8th published. So if I go back to my home screen, so I'll show you what a teacher would do in this case. So I'm a teacher, and I'm gonna go to edit, because I'm on my home page right now. And I wanna link my Tuesday icon on the button to go to Tuesday, that Tuesday module. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down. And I don't have a Tuesday button. So we're gonna pretend that this calendar button is the Tuesday button, okay? This says, I see the Tuesday turtle right here. So I'm gonna click right here on this icon. I'm gonna go over to modules. And I'm gonna click on, did I do as the copy? Oh. Rick, do you remember? Embarrassing.
It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, but I unpublished the other one. That's why it would matter.
Gotcha.
So as you can see here, I'm in links, and I click on that little arrow right here, and I had it link to this Tuesday right here. So now I'm going to click on save. I'm going to go to the student view now. Bear with me for a second. Student view. Student view. There we go. I'm going to scroll down. And again, when you're using this stuff, you'll want to watch these videos. We just made these for teachers. You just want to delete them before you show this to students. But now when I click on calendar, oh, see, it was the copy. Oh, embarrassing. I'll go back. But you can kind of see what I'm kind of getting at when you, because I linked it to that module, it'll just, and because I unpublished everything else, and I'm especially thinking about, you know, our K5, especially our K2, you know, if we just want them to go to Tuesday, we'll just need to make sure that, you know, they're not confused, because if they see those other modules, it can get kind of confusing for them. I'll click on, and it was the copy one. All right, now we should be cooking with gas. Click on home. Click on student view.
What if they're a week behind in what they're working on? So like if you just did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what if they were working at their own pace at home and wanted to do last Tuesday?
So what you would just do is you would release it to that particular student. I'm gonna click on calendar now. And then here's so again, I start here. And again, the power of modules that we really like is these next, and you'll see a previous button here. If I click next, it's going to take me to what I assigned as a teacher. I can do this assignment. When I'm done, I click next, and it takes me to the next thing that I have to do. And as you can see here, it's not letting me go next because I set a parameter that said they had to get a certain score on the assignment. You know, you probably wouldn't want to do that, you know, depending on, you know, the grade level and everything like that and what the learning objective is. Or if I want, I can go to previous. I can't remember what the exact instructions were, so I can go back and go to a specific page. But you as a teacher can dictate where the students go and kind of control the day for the kids. I know modules is pretty heavy. we get that modules is pretty heavy, and we've been asked, well, can we just do it as like subject modules? So if I'm an elementary teacher, does it make sense to do it as subject modules? You got to think about your kids and how they are. What is the fewest amount of clicks that you want kids to do? Yeah, you could do it by subject modules. You could have an ELA, you could have a math, you could have a science, and then you'd have an ELA button on your homepage, a math button on your homepage, and a science button on your homepage. You could do that. However, think about the user experience for the kids. How do I know what to do first? Do I know to go to ELA first? Is that where I'm going to go first? And then once I go to ELA, do I just go back to the home screen to kind of find out what I have to do next? It ends up being more work, we feel, for the teacher to create modules as like different subjects than to do it as like a day view. Because we're just imagining as a kindergartner, especially I have a 6-year-old, if it's Tuesday, September 15th, the thing that makes the most sense is click on Tuesday and boom, you're right there. You click at the top, you go down in what you need to do. Rick?
Sorry, I was being DM'd by somebody.
It's okay.
What was the question?
I was going to say, let's take some time. Let's go into our maybe go into our breakout rooms.
Well, Matt, I if you recall, I have that 11:30 with Deirdre, and
you do have that 11:30 with Deirdre. Yeah. So instead of a breakout room, we're just going to stay right here.
So
right?
Apologies to everyone. It's unavoidable that I have to leave the meeting a little bit early. But as always, remember that you can make a one-to-one appointment with Matt or myself. I'm going to post that link in the chat before I leave. So if you don't get a question or you have something that's a bit more personal related to your classroom, just remember that you can make that appointment and we can hop on a call with you and chat about it and help you out. So I'm going to post that in the chat. It's just a link to our Calendly so you can choose a time that works best for you. And I just want to thank everybody for their patience and their hard work. We know this is a lot, but Matt and I are working very hard to make sure you have all the resources you need. And I think September 1st, we'll continue to answer questions. And if you're someone who's been to multiple trainings already, like our friend Gail, you'll know that you pick up something new every time. And we will get there together and continue to support each other as we really adopt this amazing and powerful tool. So everybody have a great day and a great weekend.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, yeah, so we won't go into breakout rooms now. While it's fresh, I'm happy to answer any questions when it comes to modules. I do want to showcase discussion board, and I apologize, I didn't get into that before. So if you'd like, I can just go right to discussion board, and at the end, we can just kind of have a Q&A. Please still continue to add to that doc, even though Rick's not going to be managing it. I'm not going to be able to see it yet, but as questions are arising, please put them in there. And what we're doing is we're keeping these docs from all of our sessions, right? And we're trying to find what are the most common questions. What we're going to do then is we're going to take all these docs, we're going to find out the commonalities, and then we're going to create an FAQ doc to put up on our digital teaching hub that will have answers to all of our questions that everyone has had. So just a real quick, just I guess, if you wouldn't mind just putting in the chat, if you'd like me to go on to discussions, or would you like to have some, for you to have some questions about modules? You need help editing templates. That would be, yep, I can probably get into that a little bit later, yep. Discussions, okay. Yeah, let's get into discussions, and then I'm happy to again showcase kind of how to edit things. Editing templates is going to be a little more in depth because depending on what you're doing would involve like Google Drawings. So Bernadette, I would actually recommend if you wouldn't mind doing one of those 15-minute appointments. That would just help, just because that does take a little bit of time, and you have to be set up in Google Drawings and stuff like that. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so discussions. I'm going to go up to discussions. Discussions are really nice because what discussions do is it's a way to have interactive communication between two or more people. You can do this by group discussions. You can do it by whole class discussions. You can have discussions that are with individual kids if you wanted to. I mean, you'll probably just want to use the inbox for that. But the nice thing about discussions is just like with pages, just like with modules, just like with assignments, you have this rich content editor. So you put at the top, what do you like about raccoons? So you think about a question. You can think about if you want them to, if it's a single response. You can also do it threaded, so kids can reply back to each other. Again, thinking about our young ones and and students that have lower reading skills, you can do it as a video for the instructions. You can do it as an audio. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Again, here's where you can post to, all your students, to specific groups. One thing that I definitely want to post is, and click on, is users must post before seeing replies. This is a big one. We really want to encourage kids with their original thoughts, and by unchecking this, kids would then have access to see what other kids said, and they might be more likely to, either copy or not really get their original thought. So by enabling this, they can't actually see any of the replies until they, put their own reply in. Again, this is where it talks about a threaded reply. So again, if you think about like an email chain, back and forth kind of thing. If you don't have that, it's more focused. It's a question and then an answer. There's no like reply feature afterwards. This can be graded if you want. Again, it could be as a group discussion. And when you do the grading, of course, that can be affected, with MyStar, with Q. It does go to SpeedGrader, everything like that. Again, because it's graded, it's seen as an assignment. So is this discussion a part of your science? However you want to assign it as. You can do peer reviews, which is nice. So, and again, it has kind of a social media type feature where you can allow liking. One question that I do get is, can the chat be moderated? So as an example, in Seesaw, if a student wants to post something, and I think the same thing was in Google Classroom, you as a teacher have to approve the post first. Canvas does not have that. So if a student, I don't know, they post a poop emoji or something like that, right? You can take away that post. I mean, you can delete it. You can obviously give feedback to the student, but you can't stop it before it happens, if that makes sense. So you really got to kind of think about sorry, it's raining and it's distracting me. Think about your classroom management, right? And think about classroom management, virtual versus, in person. When we meet on September 1st, we will be going over best practices when it comes to virtual learning and virtual teaching. But this just kind of shows you a little bit about discussions. A question is being asked, can you mute a kid who constantly posts off topic? Off the cuff, I would say when you assign, you can just not assign it to them. But I think, it's just kind of a classroom management, technique. Again, you can delete them, whenever they post. And it's hard for me to test some of these things because I don't have any students and I can't add students. But yeah. And then again, so when I click save, I click on save, and now if I, go back to my modules, and I go to that September 1st, and click plus, discussion, and then the raccoons. And again, I can easily move this to wherever I want in my day. So that's creating in Canvas. I know it's a lot. It is a lot. Really, it's, we like to say with Canvas, Canvas is very flexible. The good thing about Canvas is that it's so flexible. The bad thing about Canvas is that it's so flexible, right? There's so many different things, but the good thing is you can't break it. Anything can be fixed. You can easily, unpublish and publish. So again, students have access, students don't have access. Quick 1 second thing. So again, you're given a lot of options and a lot of flexibility with Canvas. And, I think at the very beginning of the year, obviously the most important thing that we're doing at the very beginning of the year is connecting with our kids, right? We're getting on the Zoom meetings. We're talking with them. We're chatting with them. We're figuring out, our tics and our interests and our kind of barriers and everything like that. We're seeing Canvas as an asynchronous support, right? When you're doing your synchronous teaching, you're going to be in a Google Slides presentation. You're going to be on iExcel. You're going to be in Envision. You might be in E2020. You're going to be on iQuest, right? You're not going to be in Canvas. You're going to be elsewhere. You're going to be connecting with your kids. When it's ready for those asynchronous materials, you're ready for them to demonstrate their learning. You're ready for them to discuss with each other. You're ready for them to, if there's a student that missed one day and they need to, they need to go back and look at the recording, you post the recording in your Canvas. You might have a page where you have previous recordings, from the week, and you just simply, download the video right into Canvas, where it had that little upload, drag and drop thing, or you do it through Studio. It goes right in, and you just create a page with all your previous recordings of your synchronous learning. Yeah, I agree, Cassie. If a kid posts something inappropriate, screenshot, press the print screen on the keyboard, and it does a screenshot. That's a good point. All right, well, we have about 20 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions. It looked like there was something about downloading a template and just putting in info. Yeah, so Bernadette, what we do is, when you go to Commons, oh, thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate that comment. We've already created templates for teachers to kind of get started. Here is the PCCS one. It's on our main page. But if I wanted to, I could click right into this course. And then it says import download. And then I can choose what course I want this to go into. So I'm going to put this into my, my test class as an example. I click on import into course. I'll go back to my dashboard, and sometimes it takes a minute or two to be able to get in. I'm not sure if I went over it in the session, but you do have apps. There are 3 different apps. There is a teacher app where you can access your teacher accounts from your iPhone or Android phone. There is a student app. So kids can access their class and submit assignments through their phone. And then there is a family app. And again, with families, they're what's called an observer role. And in the observer role, they can view what their students are doing, but they can't comment, they can't do anything with it, but they'll be able to see, like, there's due dates coming up, like, you know, Julia, I see that you are late turning in this assignment, you know, so it kind of gives that feedback a little bit. I believe I put it into test class. And apologize. I know there's a lot in here. Oh, God. No, it's not in here. But anyways, but that's what you would do. If Bernadette, if you just started with downloading it to your one course, that home screen will come up right away. It'll be right on your home page. You click on edit, and then you just start, you know, putting in links, putting in information, you know, all those things like that.
Hey, Matt, I had a question.
Yeah, Julie.
So I'm going to have a student teacher.
Okay.
And obviously she has to create and do things and add assignments in and whatnot, and has to have access to the Canvas. So how do I give her access? Do I give her my Google?
No, we definitely don't want to do that, because then she has access to your mail and stuff like that. So we've been thinking about this, and we're trying to figure out what to do. So there's a couple of different things that we're thinking about. As admin, we can create specific roles. So like I showed you earlier with people,
Yeah.
when I add someone, so imagine like we develop it and you might see student teacher on here. I mean, possibly TA. And then we can assign specific privileges. So examples, we might allow them to create their own page. We can have them assign work to particular students. We can give them rights to, you know, but we don't want them to design the homepage, or we don't want them to, I don't know if you would do this or not, but communicate like with families and stuff like that. So there's different levels of privileges. The other issue we're running into right now is to get in, you have to have an @PCCS K-12 account.
That was.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that student teachers usually don't get one of those. I'm trying to work with my boss to try and figure out how we can help with that, just because, and I get it from his perspective. In years past, what happens is now we have all these open accounts, and it's really hard to keep track of, you know, deleting certain accounts on specific times. And, you know, so one thing that we're thinking about is each of the buildings has sub accounts, like, you know, sub1.liberty@pccsk12.com. That could be an alternative that we're looking at. But yeah, I mean, this is very new for us, and, you know, trying to think about, and the same thing with subs, right? So we're thinking about long-term sub and short-term subs. We are inviting Premier subs to our September 1st training. So they will be getting training on Canvas on that September 1st. We're not able to give them a login, but they're able to use a free teacher account to at least start playing around with. But again, we're probably going to create a role where if we have a sub, they're given certain privileges, right? They can't, maybe we don't allow them to create pages or edit pages, but they can bring in work, they can communicate, stuff like that.
Okay. Thanks.
So it's kind of a I don't know answer and rationale answer, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donna, do I download it twice to have a test course of my own? No, Donna, you would just download it once. You'll just download the template once and then it's in there. If you have 2 courses, you could just simply, like I showed you that 3 buttons earlier, where you copy it directly to you would just copy it to another course. Is there a way to align buttons in a row, not using the table? I don't know if there is. I think you just kind of have to like maybe drag and drop it, Dannon. I don't know if there's like a, you know, I'm assuming there's going to be like, you click on a button and then you could, you know, align it to the right and center it, but.
So I can't get spaces in between my buttons if I don't, like the space bar won't work.
Yeah.
In between.
Yeah. So I guess what's the holdup with tables? Because one of the nice things you can do with tables is once you have the table, you can click on the little arrow, and then if you go to table properties, you can take away the border.
Yeah, I did that. It just still won't line up with the picture, with my banner picture. So I'm
Okay.
struggling with lining it up with my banner.
Got it. I would maybe check the knowledge forums and see, because they have tons of stuff on like design stuff.
Okay.
And I'd have to research it a little bit more. How will families be educated on how to use Canvas? Will there be videos in a Learning Hub or Zoom training sessions? Both, Cassie. We need to focus on our 1,200 teachers first and get through September 1st. But then Rick and I are charged with, we created the Teacher Hub, and we still have the Learning Hub for parents, but now we're going to have a Canvas page for parents. We're going to have a Zoom page for parents. And then, so that's going to happen after September 2nd, after I have my nervous breakdown. And then after that, we are then going to hold webinars for families. And we are going to hold either once or twice a week, one in the morning and then one in the evening, where it's going to be a 50-minute session. And we're not going to take in any questions. We're basically just going to train. And then like this, we'll have kind of like a question guide where we can vet questions. But we won't allow like actual talking from the families. So yes, we're thinking about our families. We're thinking about our students too, how we can educate our students. I think at this point, you know, while I would love to be able to support the 17,000 students, there's only one of me, one of Rick, and I think this is where we would rely on you all, you know, as you're getting used to the platform and you're starting to get to know your kids, you know, having them, you know, on a Zoom call, you know, you show your Canvas and you go into student view and you say, okay, so on a Tuesday, you'll click here on Tuesday, right? And you'll click into here to view the assignment. You'll go into here to do the discussion board. Let's talk about how we make a discussion. Like, it's just rituals, routines now that you're having to do now versus face-to-face. And again, I'm gonna go back to my kindergarten days, you know? Here's how I hang up my coat in the morning. Here is where I put my lunchbox. Here's how I ask to go to the bathroom. You know, we don't have to do that virtual, right? It doesn't matter how they hang up their coat in their home. Obviously, it should be correct, but it's just a different rituals and routine. It's a different thing that we're teaching to our kids. Yes, Cassie, I would absolutely make sure to include Media Parapros as well. Absolutely. I'll write that down. Yeah, that's really all I had. So I appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you for allowing me to record this. I'm actually just going to stop recording just to make sure if there's any questions that you don't want to have recorded. I want to be able to honor that, so I'm going to stop recording. And